Everybody, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a great day, great night, wherever you are watching in from. Really fascinating stuff going on in the crypto market right now. Numerous cryptocurrencies are absolutely pumping through the roof, whether it's been Cardano, whether it's been Ripple, whether it's been Stellar, whether it's been Status, Civic, and of all over the place. There are a bunch of crypto assets that are making strong moves. Bitcoin is holding pretty firm in the $15,000 range, around there right now as of recording this, a little bit above 15K for the time being. So I want to get into the day's market movements and also some high-level things that I'm seeing, that I'm looking at, as well as kind of what I'm interested, kind of hoping will happen in the crypto market in the short term. But I want to open it up real quick with a Medium post from Ryan Selkis, who is TwoBitIdiot on Twitter. I really like his thoughts. Sometimes he's a bit contrarian, and sometimes he has some, I think, thought-provoking ideas. So I'll link this in the description below. But before I talk about a couple of these different theses that he talks about, I will be doing another crypto live, YouTube live crypto happy hour tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you'd like to join for that, hit the subscribe button, the notify bell, so that you can join for the YouTube live crypto happy hour tonight at 9 p.m. So there are 95 or close to 95. I don't think he came through on all 95, but Ryan Selkis, TwoBitIdiot, put together these 95 crypto theses for 2018. I'd recommend you go through and read it. Some things, depending upon where you have your money in, you might not like. He is fairly quick to call out Ripple, which I have no money in. He's also fairly quick to call out Cardano, which I have a good amount of money in, and certain things like that. But even if he calls out your crypto, or if he says, hey, I don't understand the valuation here, I would still recommend you read it. But two different points, or I think the biggest point that I think is pretty fascinating when you look at the investment perspective here. So one of I think the most important things is, in a lot of respects, he says this is his point number 20, or thesis number 20, there is no rhyme or reason to prices in crypto, and there will not be in 2018. Best to embrace that this will be a sentiment-driven market until the crash. Stay safe, embrace the opportunity to sit on the sidelines and do your research, and there will be gems to swoop up in the coming 99% off sale. So who knows if we'll see a 99% off sale? Who knows if we'll see a crash of that significance? But I do fully believe that there really isn't a rhyme or reason to a lot of the price action in cryptocurrency. And a lot of this is sentiment-driven market. People get excited about a cryptocurrency, it pumps through the roof, and it goes nuts. Whether it's Ripple, whether it's been Cardano, whether it's been Stellar, Lumens, whether it's been Bitcoin going through the roof, whether it's been Litecoin, whatever it is, prices move, and there isn't necessarily always a rhyme or reason behind that. Sometimes people try to justify things, but a lot of times it's just hype and excitement. So, and that's hard to look at. In some cases, that's hard to look at a graph, or that's hard to look at a chart and see exactly what that might be. But in a lot of cases, it can be a very sentiment-driven market. So I think that's an interesting point. And I tend to agree with it, that in a lot of respects, these markets aren't rational. I mean, you have Dogecoin over $1 billion in market cap. There are a lot of crypto out there that I don't necessarily want to talk about, but I don't think they have a strong foundation. I think they have a terrible leadership team in place, and or no leadership team in place, and there are multiple $100 million crypto market caps. So there necessarily isn't a rhyme or reason, but when you try to bet against that and you try and say, hey, this is not a good asset, this is something that I don't think, you might lose out on opportunities for the time being, because this isn't necessarily the most rational marketplace as a whole. But let's get into kind of what's going on as of right now in the marketplace in general. I'm going to refresh on-chain FX here, and we'll look at that, as well as we'll pull up CoinMarketCap. So today has been an interesting one, and depending upon where you've had your money, it has been a fantastic day. Maybe it's also been a pretty poor day as well. There have been some crypto assets that are down a little bit, not an incredible amount, but down a little bit. But Stellar Lumens has been crushing it lately, absolutely crushing it. It's basically right at its all-time high as of the time of recording this. XLM is at presently 89 cents. Its all-time high is about 90 cents. It's up 53% US dollar-wise on the day. Steam is another one that's crushing it. It's at its all-time high literally at this second. Cardano, another one that's up close to 40% on the day, literally at its all-time high right now. Civic is up 28%. If we pop over to CoinMarketCap, because there's a few other crypto assets over there, experience points, is up 100%. Status, which was an ICO that I got in on, sold too early. It's up 84, 85%. Enigma was up 64, 70%. Stellar, obviously, like I said. So there are a number of crypto assets out there that are just crushing it. And I think it's fairly interesting when you look at what Bitcoin's doing and the fact that not only are these assets in a lot of respects holding strong in comparison to Bitcoin having a somewhat steady movement up and kind of recovering back, but it's been pretty fascinating to see how hard the move has been for so many of these assets. And I'm looking at this as of right now for the time being and trying to think, and I'm almost hoping that this happens in some respects, but because I'm hoping that it'll happen, it probably won't, because that's typically what happens when I want something to happen. But I'm looking at this now, and there was a short time yesterday where Bitcoin went up. You could see the heavy buy volume here, and this is just on GDAX, and I'll pull it up on Coinigy here so we can see a little bit better. But this was on GDAX. Put it onto the 1 hour charts here. You could see the heavy buy volume that came in when Bitcoin was at about $13,700 and took it all the way up at one point in time to $15,200 over the course of 3 hours. Made a pretty solid move. And when that happened, a ton of money flowed. I don't want to say a good amount of money flowed out of the altcoins to Bitcoin. And there are a lot of altcoins that I have been looking to buy into and increase the stack of, whether it was Cardano. I was looking to kind of buy in as much as possible. I bought in a bunch at 40 cents. I bought in back at 15 cents, although I don't know if it's going to ever be back at 15 cents. But I was looking to buy into certain things like Cardano a little bit more, ZRX a little bit more, Zcash a little bit more. And what's happened with Cardano, what's happened with ZRX and some of these other ones is that they pumped extremely hard. And I'm kind of hoping at this point in time that Bitcoin might make a larger run for the time being, and that could potentially depress some of these altcoin prices and give you an opportunity to increase the stack at a better ratio than you have right now, because so many things are just going through the roof. So I'm looking at this and kind of, and this is what I'm hoping. It doesn't by any stretch mean that it's going to happen, but I'm kind of hoping that Bitcoin can go on a nice little bit of a run. And from what I understand and from what I know, Bitcoin has a little bit of resistance right now at the 16,000, 16,500 mark. If it can break through that, it might have a significant run up, or if it can stabilize at least above 15K now. But I'm hoping that we see a nice run from Bitcoin that will allow for some of the money from the altcoins to move back into Bitcoin. And then once that happens, Bitcoin runs up, might be able to buy back into some of those altcoins that have just pumped through for a further movement with those altcoins. So that's what I'm looking at right now as something that I think is an interesting potential occurrence to happen. But again, because I want it to happen, it's probably not going to. So we'll have to see how that ends up panning out. The one thing, too, I will say, though, that is, so right now it has been, for the most part, for a lot of people, it's been pretty profitable to buy into pumps, whether it's been buying into Cardano at a later stage, whether it's been buying into Ripple at a later stage, whether it's been buying into Stellar. It has been fairly profitable regardless of how things go. We'll pull up Stellar here on the one-day charts. It has been pretty profitable to, regardless of where you've gotten in recently with a lot of these altcoins, to have made money. And I've always been, like I've said, I've always been a little bit hesitant to, I've always been a little bit of a chicken when it comes to buying into pumps, just because I'm terrified that I'm going to be at the top and I'm going to get burned and it's going to hurt, and I'm going to buy in right here and then the market's just going to go red. It's going to pull a Verge or whatever, and it's going to pull a chain coin, and I'm just going to be Johnny Bagholder sitting at the top and riding a wave. And I'm typically hesitant to do that, and I've lost out on opportunities, especially in the past couple weeks. I've lost out on a lot of opportunity to increase my stack, whether it's increasing more Bitcoin, US dollar, whatever you want to say. But I've lost out on opportunities because I've been hesitant to buy in. When you see something that it's at an all-time high, you see Stellar Lumens at an all-time high, or you see Ripple at an all-time high of 75 cents back when Ripple was at 75 cents after it pumped up 3x. You're like, yeah, Ripple's not going higher. It's not going higher. Now it's at like $2.90, almost $3. So I've underestimated the degree to which something can pump. But one thing that I think is interesting is kind of having a contrarian point of view now and trying to find the different areas that might be depressed and trying to find new opportunities. And that's kind of what I'm looking at now. Is granted, there are a lot of assets, or the vast majority of crypto assets right now have been pumping through the roof, and it's pretty hard to find something that is significantly off of its all-time high, and just kind of not in favor of, just really not in favor of the market. So when you're looking at that, there's not that much out there that really is significantly depressed that has those good fundamentals. So I'm kind of curious as far as, and I'm trying to put in a little bit more research to see what I could potentially drum up that might not be pumping right now, might not be in the favor of investors, but will in the long run, because that's ultimately where you're going to see the most opportunity. And I'll give a couple, there could be a couple different examples to this. I mean, there have been, so on Crypto Happy Hour last night, a lot of people were asking, I think there were 2 questions about Enigma. There were questions about Request Network. And back in October, we can pull up Enigma here. We can pull up Enigma. We can pull up, we can talk about Kin. We can talk about Civic. We can talk about Status. There was a bit of time basically where really anything that had a recent ICO in October or was like a late summer ICO, they just got absolutely crushed or traded sideways for a long, long time as Bitcoin went on a really nice extended run. So you can look at Enigma here that was trading at 45 cents, basically sideways, 40 cents, 45 in the 40-30 range for a month and a half, and then slowly picked up a little bit of steam and has since exploded through the roof, going from 45 cents all the way up to $7 right now. The same could be said about something like Request Network as well, where Request Network traded pretty much sideways after the ICO from October 23rd, really all the way up to the early parts of December, and made a move. Also, the same thing happened with Civic as well. So I actually made a pretty rough move on Civic. I ditched a lot of my Civic at 35 cents. Pretty much, I sold the bottom on Civic. We can essentially say I close to sold the bottom on Civic, but Civic was one of those late summer ICOs that had an incredible run up, went all the way up to 60 cents, and then kind of slowly died off over the month of September, October, while Bitcoin was having its run and was not in favor really. And then since December, January has made an incredible run, an incredible move. So I'm trying to find what that next possibility might be, because there are things out there that are not being looked at in the marketplace right now that everybody isn't talking about and falling in love with, and I'm trying to determine what that might be and what the next market move could potentially be. That's kind of where my head's at right now. Is obviously my portfolio has done extremely well. Like, it's done incredibly well. But now I'm trying to find what the next opportunity might be at this point in time, and that's something that I'm pretty interested in determining and doing a ton of research on. Obviously, if I make any moves at all, I'll let you guys know, or if I start to develop things, I'll probably put together a video on why I think that this is the case and why I believe that this is something that could potentially be really interesting. But I think that there are a lot of people that have these contrarian points of views, and they do really well. And I kind of like that style of investing in the crypto world. It can be great to buy into pumps, and I've been a wimp, like I said, and haven't gone through and missed out on a lot of opportunities because I've been hesitant to buy into these cryptos that have gone up 2, 3, 4x, and then they continue to go up another 2, 3, 4, 5x, and I miss out on that opportunity. But trying to see what might be out there that could really have that strong run. And there are a lot of cryptos out there. I know everybody now everybody and their mother loves Ripple right now. There was a long time where Ripple literally just died. Like, Ripple against Bitcoin, nobody wanted to buy Ripple from really mid-June all the way down to December, it lost value basically every single day against Bitcoin, like every single day. And now Ripple has come out and since December absolutely murdered it and just gone straight through the roof, straight green, as you can obviously see here. So the people that had the conviction to really buy Ripple when nobody else wanted to buy it, but were either looked at the fundamentals of Ripple and liked what they saw or liked the investing thesis there, like that's interesting to me, and that's what I'm trying to determine, what could be next. That was kind of one of the reasons that I made the move into Cardano, was because it wasn't necessarily a massively depressed crypto. It wasn't necessarily a massively depressed crypto, but it was kind of trading sideways after it hit Bittrex. And I had heard from a couple different people that I respect in the crypto world, and they mentioned, hey, as soon as this hits a Japanese exchange or an Asian exchange, because of the nature of the investors that they have, I think it's going to crush it. And I did some research. I like the technology. I like what they were trying to do, and it's obviously since crushed it. So I don't necessarily want to say I'm trying to find the next Cardano or the Ripple, but in some cases, I am trying to find the thing that nobody is talking about, or not that many people are talking about, or isn't the cool thing to invest, because everybody now wants to talk about Cardano and Ripple and Stellar Lumens, but there's going to be another crypto asset out there in the next month or 2 months that nobody's talking about right now, that has fallen out of favor and everybody thinks is a crap coin, or it's just not a hot investment, and that will be in the future. So if you have anything too that you think is like worth checking out, I'd love to hear it long term. If you have something that you think has fallen out of favor, the sentiment is down, it has good fundamentals, or it will have good fundamentals, but overall the sentiment on it is bearish, I would like to hear your thoughts about that, because I think that that's something that, from just an overall thesis perspective, that's a really interesting way to approach things. Outside of that, guys, I am keeping an eye on just kind of what's happening in the marketplace. Again, kind of my hope for the time being is that we'll see. Right now, Bitcoin is trading at 15,085. I'd love to see Bitcoin make a solid run upwards and kind of suck a little bit of the money out of the altcoin market, so I can buy back in at a lower rate. That would be lovely. Who knows if that'll happen? And like I said, because I want it to happen, probably not going to happen. But outside of that, if you are new to the channel, by any chance, hit that subscribe button, the notify bell. I will be doing a YouTube Live Crypto Happy Hour this evening at 9 p.m. So if you'd like to join for that, would love to see you there. Outside of that, Crypto Bobby signing out. Peace.